Hello, my name is Zachariah Van Siders with Old Man Gaming, and you have decided, I don't know why, to tune into yet another horrible game review. As usual, before we get into the actual content of the review, gotta go over a couple of disclaimers. First of all, I don't make any money at this, at least not yet, so I'm not going to be going back and editing it. It's not going to have a lot of production value. What you see is what you get. Number two, I don't give scored review systems for games, mainly because I think it's one of the most subjective forms of art. With that said, I will give you a rundown of what the game is. Then I will give you pros and cons from my point of view, as all reviews are. And then I'm going to tell you whether or not I'm going to continue to play it outside of the reasons of this review that you're listening to. Whether or not I'm going to stick with it, I guess. It's the best way to say it. And then, usually, I only get a few hours with these games, just because I'm a part-time house dad, so my time is limited. But I get around 5-ish hours, sometimes more, and that's how I do the review. So if you want a really in-depth technical review, there are other places to get those. This is more like an everyman's first glance of the game, what I thought about it, and hopefully that helps you out in your decision making. All right, that out of the way, let's talk about the game. Today's game is the Darwin Project. This is a kind of weird, different take on the battle royale genre, and it has been in beta forever. Honestly, this is one of those games that I thought was just going to be a free-to-play beta for its entire lifespan until it went away. But it has finally released, has its new season, and it's out now. So what is the Darwin Project? Okay, well, I don't quite understand the story. Something about post-apocalyptic, Hunger Games, yada, 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 whatever. This game is really not about that. It's in the vein of PUBG, kind of in the way that you just go in, you spawn into a match. It's a multiplayer versus match. You deal with those specific circumstances. However, that's where the similarities between it and PUBG end. This is by no means a shooter. Basically, you play in third person. The art style is very cartoony, but your character has a axe, like a large wood cutting axe, as a bow, and then you have a few gadgets that you can create as you collect resources in the world. There's only 10 players in the world. The game map itself is not very huge comparatively to other battle royales, but like I said, there's only 10 people in it. What's interesting about this game is all the combat boils down to the bow and arrow, which you have to constantly craft arrows for if you want to use, and your axe wielding skills. Now, the axe wielding skills is very different from like a fighting game. It's not like combos or button mashing. It's all about the timing of when you swing the axe compared to the other person. So it's really a one button system. The other person can swing the axe at the same time. It triggers a block which knocks you both back a few yards. Other than that, it's kind of like whenever you're in a melee combat, you kind of like circle around each other, swinging wildly, trying to find the right timing to avoid their axe swing, but also hit them without being hit yourself. It's a very interesting, different take on melee combat. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in the pros and cons. Another system introduced in this is tracking. The entire level is snow-based, and you also have a cold meter. The cold meter drops as you just walk around, and you eventually have to craft a fire to warm up or find some sort of item that warms you up. If you craft a fire, of course, your position is much easier to spot, and that's really what this game is about. It's about hunting the other people. They leave tracks in the snow, which you can investigate, and it gives you like a few seconds of knowing exactly where they are. The same with if they pick up supplies. You have to cut wood. All of your supplies come from either wood or this thing called Darwinium. The Darwinium is used to craft upgrades to your base equipment, and these also special abilities depending on your class, whereas wood is used to craft fires, traps, arrows for bow and arrows, and physical armor. Okay, so that's kind of the basis of it, the overall basis of it. Find them, track them, kill them. What makes this even more interesting, though, is the game has added another player, I don't know what it's called, the master, the game master. I can't remember what it's actually, the director, that's what it's called. So a player, a physical player, actually plays a person who's watching the rundown. He can trigger all sorts of things. He can close zones. Instead of your usual shrinking arena, the zone itself is broken up into, I think it's nine like hexagons, one in the center and then a bunch around it. And he can close those as he goes along. Once they're closed, you take damage in them until you get out or you die. He can also trigger warming up players if he likes them. He can trigger supplies. He can trigger a nuclear device in one of the areas that's up. He can do all sorts of totally nasty, crazy things, and that's up to him. He can also troll people. He can turn on his microphone to anybody and everybody and just like talk in their ear. We're going to get to that a little bit later, but it's a very interesting, different way to look at the battle royale genre. And the one thing that this does is it shakes up the formula. You can't go in and really have a set strategy because of the director. Now, I do want to say one last disclaimer before we get to the pros and cons. You cannot play a director until you get your account up to level 5, and I was not able to do that. So because of that, I did not get to play the director. So I don't know if there's any sort of restrictions on them, on picking on people, or how that exactly works. But I would assume there is some in play. I don't know, though. So for fairness sake, I don't know what happens if you play the director, like what that looks like. Okay, so let's go into the pros. Okay, pro number one, this game is free to play. Yes, there's some microtransactions. You can buy crap to buy crap, but it's all cosmetic as far as I can tell, which is nice. It's really nice to be able to just go into the store, download a game, and play it. I mean, look, we're going to talk about the cons of this game. There are quite a few. We're going to talk about more pros, but at the end of the day, are you getting what you paid for? Well, you didn't pay for anything, so yeah, I mean, it's free right off the bat. Okay, so next pro. The tracking system is really interesting and really different for a battle royale game, and I wish other battle royale games actually maybe considered using this. It just makes it a little bit, makes you really think about what you're doing. The next pro I want to talk about that kind of leads off that is the traps. They put traps in this, and it's amazing. Proximity mines, but lower end traps, just like bear traps, tripwires, stuff like that. Almost all of them deal some amount of damage, and then they trip up your opponent or trap your opponent in one spot or whatever. I have the most fun with those. Especially when I know somebody's tracking me. I can leave those around and then just wait for them, try and lure them into the trap and get the jump on them. That's far and away, in my opinion, the best thing that this game has going for it is that trap system. That's what makes the combat interesting. If it wasn't, it would just be this like weird timing, one button click thing. That might not have the nuance to it that it does with the traps, because now not only are you fighting, but you have to watch for where this guy laid, and if he's standing there, you have to be careful not to walk into his traps. It's very interesting on that level. Another pro I want to talk about are the games are not specifically long. I know that some people might have a problem with that being a pro, but I can't tell you how irritated I get sometimes with PUBG and some of the other big battle royales when you play for 40 or 50 minutes collecting stuff and getting closer and closer to that final circle, only to be taken out with a headshot from behind. And, that's the name of the game. That's what they're kind of going for. But with this, if you die, you can get right back into it. And the games, I still have yet to be in a game that lasted longer than 30 minutes. So they're not super hard to get into, not super long to play. And my final pro is I really enjoy how unique this game is. As far as the battle royale genre goes, it's not an experience that you're typically going to get. I really like that it's melee focused, which not a lot of battle royales are. Most of them are shooters. So I enjoyed that. They definitely tried to do something different here. Is it a success? I don't know about that, but it's definitely different, and for that I applaud them. Being different in an oversaturated market is very difficult, especially in this day and age. Okay, so let's get to the cons. The cons of this game are many, unfortunately. Uh, First and foremost, I want to talk about some of the balancing issues. The There is a class-based system to this game. You pick either which goes off a gadget. So like grappling hook, there's a little robotic hawk that tracks people for you, and then there is a jetpack. Um, they're not balanced. They're not balanced well, in my opinion. I managed to play all three. Um, the jetpack is far and away the superior class. The grappling hook isn't bad. It's my favorite, though I find it's not quite as good as like your jetpack, just because of the mobility that the jetpack gives you. And then the hawk is almost useless. I played that for a couple of games and found it to just be absolutely worthless. So that needs work. If you're going to have a class-based system, you don't want everybody playing one class. Like, that's the whole point. Okay, number two con I'm going to talk about is not even my con. It was requested by somebody I play with quite often. I am giving a shout out. Well, he doesn't like it when I say his name, so I'm not going to say his name on the air. You know who you are. Duos. There was a duos mode back in the beta testing. Like I said, this is 10 players to a match, so it was 5 teams of 2. So you would go in with a buddy, and then you would be the last 2 standing. This game doesn't work with squads. It's not enough people on a map. But the duos, that's interesting. I never got to play the duos when it was back in beta. I think that would have been an interesting way to play, honestly. So he requests wholeheartedly that they bring back duos, especially with how they've streamlined it. And I'm not speaking mostly on any of the stuff that happened in the beta because, in a way, it doesn't count. We should really just be reviewing what they're calling the final product. However, there were duos, there aren't, and it bothered somebody, so I feel it's worth mentioning. So, in the name of my unnamed fan, bring back duos. My next con is far and away the most important con, without a doubt, to this entire review, and that is the director. Okay, I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to be different. You're trying to be interesting. You're trying to put kind of like those prison rules with the director. And honestly, I'm not even talking about the crazy favoritism that directors have or the crazy things they will do mid-match, such as randomly in a fight, they'll just drop a nuke on you. I'm not talking about that because I feel that actually kind of makes it a little bit more interesting. That actually puts you in a weird situation, and with a combat system that's very basic and would be dull if it didn't have these weird situational things constantly coming into it, that's a situational thing that makes that more interesting. What I don't like is the fact that they control you constantly, not even in their actions, but I count at least 2 games that I went into where somebody was just literally swearing over the microphone as loud as they could, as long as they could. That's annoying. I don't like that. And this makes it possible. I don't know how you do the game without the directors, but at the same time, I don't like that. That's a con. I don't want to go into a game that's reasonably all right and just have somebody swearing at me the entire time. I had another one where the guy was just saying one word over and over again. Another one where he was playing rap music really loud. And I love rap music, but playing it secondhand through a speaker is irritating as all hell. I spent most of the time trying to figure out what song it was and got killed. That kind of stuff is really annoying. Super, super annoying. And as long as this game has those directors, it's going to have that. I would much rather have the directors removed or have them have to go through some sort of process or have some sort of standards attached to them. There are no standards right now for it that I can see. Like, they get to be directors if they've got their account to level 5, period. That's super obnoxious, and I don't like it. My next con is a little bit more on the organizational level. One thing about this game that I noticed, and this is probably not going to hit any fan that just goes right in there, I just feel it's worth mentioning. This game, the people who make it are not very good at monetizing it. I know what you're saying. That's great. You don't want it monetized, but there's no battle pass. Meaning you repeatedly coming back doesn't really earn you anything other than these fan gifts, which are just random cosmetics for your thing. There's nothing really like there's nothing really that's going to keep you coming back like some of the other games have, and that hurts. Like there's no battle pass implemented at all, so like the seasons don't really matter either. And I don't know. The other thing is too, the other way that they could go about a game like this, and often battle royales do, is to make it more of an esport. But I don't know how you could make this an esport because of the director mechanic built in is so random and insane that how would you ever have champions of this? Because you'd always have some random idiot favoritizing somebody. And then what's even worse is even if he wasn't, just the mere fact that you're putting one person in charge of that kind of stuff means that anybody in the match can claim that they were they were having favorites. So that's a problem. that's a problem I don't think they considered. So yeah. So is the game fun? Yes. I think it's fun, but it has some serious issues, some serious hills that I don't know how it gets over, honestly. And that brings us to the end of the review and the whether or not I'm going to stick with it. And I got to say, probably not too long. I am going to give it a couple more matches past this review, but I really feel like we're in Realm Royale territory where this is a battle royale that is a half-baked idea that I don't think that the people who are behind it have really thought about how to do it, and I feel like they released it before it was honestly ready to be released. I think there was more issues that needed to be resolved before they just decided to put it out there. I think there's really interesting ideas here, really unique stuff to it. I think in the long run, though, it's gonna suffer, and it's gonna be a footnote in the battle royale genre, which is kind of sad because, like I said, this is a very unique battle royale. There's no other battle royale like it that I can think of out there. So there you go. That's my review of the Darwin Project. I'm sure I'm going to get some people yelling at me. I've had people yelling at me for other games that I kind of negatively reviewed, but still, that's what I thought of it. And if you guys want to tell me I'm an idiot, please comment below. If you want to tell me I did a good job, please comment below. I do want to just give a shout out real quick to everybody who is saying that I sound really, really young. Thank you. I appreciate that. I am almost 40, so I can assure you I am not young by anybody's standards. But I appreciate the fact that nobody believes me that I'm old because of my voice. So thank you to everybody out there saying that. And then, of course, check out everything my channel has to offer. Mondays, we do these reviews. Wednesday is my forever going Borderlands playthrough with resident Borderlands expert Philbilly330. You can also check out his build videos, which we exclusively post on this channel. And then you can check out a Horrible Gaming podcast. We post the audio version everywhere podcasts are listened to on Thursdays. And then, of course, we post the YouTube version here on Friday. So thank you guys for listening. And as long as you guys keep listening, I'll keep doing this.
Sentry zone is now forbidden. 2 zones remaining.
Axe kill.
3 players remaining.